Imagine a United States where many of the most experienced and wisest public servants were forbidden from doing their jobs, and instead, younger, more inexperienced individuals were thrust in their position and forced to make very important decisions affecting the outcome and future of the United States of America. That's exactly what would happen if Senate Bill 1897 was passed in the United States, in the state of Oklahoma. Senate Bill 1897 would force judges and justices in the state of Oklahoma to retire when their age and years of service combined to equal 80. This would force some of the wisest and most experienced individuals in Oklahoma from their jobs and force younger, more inexperienced people into those positions. I'm urging you today to withdraw support from Senate Bill 1897 because A, there seems to be no need for this bill, and B, because this bill would stunt the effectiveness of our judicial system in Oklahoma. Because first of all, there's no need. The usual retirement age of 65 is often being exceeded by American workers today. According to Lydia Saad in 2013, Gallup poll writer for the Economic News of Gallup poll, is a very popular poll, the 75% or 3/4 of United States workers at this current time are planning on working past the age of 65. That's a huge number. And also, according to Stephanie Ward in 2013, in her article for the American Bar Association, which is the overarching body for all lawyers in the United States, many judges are also exceeding the 65-year-old age limit and working much later in their careers. Also, according to Ward, many of these judges see no drop-off between their age and their capabilities, meaning that they keep performing at a high level for an extended period of time. Also, older workers are often more productive than their younger counterparts. According to Nathan Reed in his 2013 article for AARP, the magazine, which, of course, AARP is the political action committee which advocates for the advancement of retired persons, many of the stereotypes that are stated about older workers are false, such as they are bad with technology, they have quick burnout because they're not connected to the younger labor force. He says that these are often false. He also in this article, David Capelli, who is a management professor at the Wharton School of Business, says that older workers soundly thrash their younger counterparts in many forms of work. Also, Capelli states that workers just get better with age. Their productivity continues to go up, contrary to even just staying the same or going down. Now that I've outlined how this bill is unnecessary, because judges and Americans as a whole are continuing to work much longer into their careers and very effectively, I will show you how this bill would be damaging to our judicial system. First of all, it would severely stunt our state's judicial system because many of the older older judges in the higher courts have often been there for many years and had to go through many lower courts gaining much experience over that time period. According to David King in 2013 at the Gotham Gazette, when he was outlining how New York was going through similar issues with mandatory retirement age for judges. Also, he says that because these judges have spent so much time at younger courts, by the time they reach the older courts, they have a much higher level of experience that other younger counterparts simply don't have access to. Also, Bill 1897 would decimate the current Oklahoma Supreme Court and our Criminal Court of Appeals, according to Bill Rafferty, who is in 2014, who is the editor-in-chief of Gavel to Gavel, which is a newsletter to judicial systems throughout the United States about the effects of recent state legislation on the judicial system in those states. He says that this bill would in fact decimate the Supreme Court and the Criminal Court of Appeals, which are the highest two courts in Oklahoma. I've here have a graph of this proposed Bill 1897, Rule of 80 applied to the Oklahoma Supreme Court. Here I've written every single justice in the Supreme Court with their averages at the end. In blue I have their age for each justice. In red is their years of average service. In green is their combined age and years of service. As you can see, this red line is at 80 years. Now, also as you can see, every single justice except for one, surpasses this and most at a very, very high total of years. Now, the only justice that does not make it, that would still be eligible for the court, is 79 years old, and he'd have to retire within the next half year. And so, also on average, their average age is about 65, just a hair over, and they've also been working for about 27 years, meaning that they're on average about 12 years older than this rule of 80, meaning that on average, the Oklahoma Supreme Court justice has been should have been retired according to this rule 6 years ago. Also, these stats were gathered from the ages and data from the Supreme Court justices on the Oklahoma Supreme Court Network, which is the official network for the Oklahoma Supreme Court. Also, I find it useful to apply rules such as this to something I'm more familiar with, and many of us are more familiar with the federal Supreme Court. So I applied this rule to the federal Supreme Court just to give you all a taste of what it would actually do, more of a more relative comparison. According to Eric Ostermeyer, who is a writer in 2009 for the University of Minnesota School of Public Policy, the average age of ascent for a judge to the United States Supreme Court is 52.8 years of age. Also, according to Cheryl Stolberg in 2012, of the very prestigious New York Times magazine newspaper, the average age of retirement is 78.7 years of age, meaning that the average Supreme Court justice would be forced to retire at 66.4 years of age, or 12.4 years earlier than they would wish. And that number, bear in mind, is much skewed because we only took into account the age of the judges when they ascended the bench and started their years of service then, when in reality, they usually spend decades at lower courts. I hope I've been able to inform you of the terrible effect this bill would have on the Oklahoma judiciary, and also this bill really has no benefits, but also has very negative consequences because there is no actual mandatory. There is actually no need for this bill, as I previously stated, and because it would really hinder the Oklahoma judiciary. I hope I've been able to persuade you of this bill's damaging effects, and remember to follow this bill in its upcoming votes and contact your representatives and senators in the state and let them know what you really think of this bill. Thank you.